My friends, in this fast-paced world, where everyone seems to be running, have you ever paused and asked yourself, where am I running to? We wake up every morning, rush through our routines, chase deadlines, seek approval, and keep moving, yet deep inside, there's a whisper, a soft, unsettling question. Why am I doing all this? That whisper is your soul asking you to find your purpose. Life isn't just about surviving. It's about discovering why you're here. It's about living with meaning, direction, and fulfillment. You see, without purpose, even the biggest achievements feel hollow. You can have money, fame, followers, but still feel lost, because purpose is what gives depth to our days and peace to our nights. When you find your purpose, everything changes. The way you see challenges, the way you treat people, and the way you value yourself. Purpose gives you the courage to continue when the world tells you to quit, and the humility to stay grounded when success comes your way. Every great transformation in life begins with one simple yet powerful question. Why am I here? It is the question that shakes us awake from the comfort of routine, in the one that pushes us to look beyond our daily habits and ask what truly gives meaning to our existence. Most people live without ever asking this question. They wake up, follow the same schedule, chase deadlines, seek validation, and call that living. But deep within, something feels incomplete. That emptiness is not a lack of success, it's a lack of purpose. The truth is, until you start asking, why? Life remains a series of unconnected moments. It's like walking through a fog. You keep moving, but you're not sure where you're going or why. When you start asking why, you begin the journey inward. You stop being a prisoner of external expectations and start listening to the voice within. That question, though small in words, is enormous in depth. It's uncomfortable because it challenges the life you've built. It forces you to evaluate your motives, your relationships, your ambitions, and even your definition of happiness. But that discomfort is sacred. It's the starting point of awakening. The moment you dare to ask, why am I doing this? You're no longer just living by habit. You're beginning to live with intention. This question doesn't have a one-time answer. It evolves with you. Your why at 20 may not be the same as your why at 40. Life's experiences, joys, and sufferings reshape your perspective, helping you dig deeper each time. The more you reflect, the more refined your purpose becomes. You start realizing that your existence is not random, it's part of something larger, something meaningful. Suddenly, even ordinary moments start feeling significant. Washing dishes, helping a friend, working hard at your job. These things take on a new dimension when you understand the reason behind them. When you live without asking why, life feels mechanical. You might achieve many things, degrees, promotions, recognition, but still feel unfulfilled. But when you live, say, with your why, even the smallest actions feel rewarding. You stop chasing hollow victories because your sense of worth no longer depends on what others think. Your purpose becomes your compass. It keeps you steady when storms come and focused when distractions appear. You realize that life's meaning is not found in achievements but in alignment. When what you do reflects who you truly are. Sometimes people fear this question because it might lead them to realize they've been walking the wrong path. But that realization isn't failure, it's freedom. It's better to pause and redirect than to run endlessly in the wrong direction. Asking why breaks illusions. It reveals whether your goals are truly yours or borrowed from society's script. It helps you stop living to impress and start living to express what's genuine within you. So, when you sit in silence and ask yourself, why am I here? Don't rush the answer. Let it unfold gradually, reflect deeply, listen to your intuition, your experiences, your joys, and even your pain. They all carry hints of your true purpose. The question of why is not a one-time search. It's a lifelong conversation with your soul. And when you learn to ask it sincerely, you'll find that clarity begins to rise like the morning sun, slowly but surely, turning confusion into direction and existence into meaning. Without direction, even speed becomes meaningless. So many people today are running fast, chasing careers, wealth, fame, and validation, but few stop to ask where they are running to. Purpose gives direction to that speed. It is the compass that turns that activity into achievement and movement into meaning. Imagine a ship sailing the ocean at full speed, but without a destination. It will eventually run out of fuel, no matter how powerful its engines are. The same is true for life. Without purpose, even your greatest efforts can lead you nowhere. When you have direction, every step counts. You stop wasting energy on things that do not serve your growth. You learn to say no to distractions that promise temporary pleasure but steal long-term peace. Direction doesn't necessarily make the path easy, but it makes it clear. It allows you to endure hardships because you know why. You are enduring them. You begin to realize that not every opportunity is meant for you, and not every invitation deserves your attention. The purpose gives you the wisdom to differentiate between what's urgent and what's important. We live in an age where business is celebrated, where people wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But business is not the same as productivity. A person without direction can be extremely busy and still feel empty at the end of the day. On the other hand, someone with purpose might do fewer things, but with more depth, and that brings fulfillment. When you know your direction, even simple acts like listening to someone in pain or giving your best at work carry deeper meaning. Purpose also brings stability. When you lack direction, every challenge feels like a crisis. But when your path is guided by purpose, even storms can't shake your peace. You learn to see setbacks as detours, not dead ends. You stop comparing your journey to others because you understand that each person's direction is different. The same wind that pushes one person backward can move another forward. It all depends on which way your sail is set. Direction also protects you from the pressure of trends. In a world that constantly shouts what you should do, how you should look, and what you should achieve, your sense of purpose acts like a filter. You stop getting lost in the noise because you have clarity about your calling. You no longer measure success by someone else's yardstick. You realize that your path doesn't have to look impressive to be impactful. Think about it. When you wake up every morning with direction, you no longer drag yourself out of bed. You rise with intention. You feel alive because your actions are aligned with your values. You stop chasing happiness and start creating it. Purposeful direction transforms ordinary days into meaningful steps toward a vision that excites your soul. Of course, direction doesn't always appear suddenly. It unfolds with time. It may start as a faint pull, a quiet curiosity, or a deep inner longing. The key is to listen to it. Trust that your path will become clearer with every step you take in faith. Life isn't about having everything figured out. It's about moving forward with clarity of heart. When your life has direction, you no longer live in confusion. You walk with confidence, knowing that even when the road is rough, you are heading exactly where you are meant to be. Passion is the spark that ignites the fire of purpose. It is that deep, unexplainable excitement you feel when you're doing something that connects with your soul. Passion is not just about what you enjoy, it's about what gives you energy instead of taking it away. When you are driven by passion, even the hardest tasks seem lighter because your heart is in them. You lose track of time, you forget fatigue, and you find a sense of joy that success alone can never bring. Passion isn't merely about entertainment or hobbies. It is the language through which your purpose whispers to you. It tells you, this is where you belong. This is what you're meant to do. Yet, many people live without ever discovering their true passion. They follow what's practical, what's safe, or what society tells them is successful. But living only for survival kills the spirit of creativity within. You might earn well, but deep inside, you'll feel a dull emptiness because money can fill your hands, not your heart. Passion is that inner compass pointing you toward meaning. It's the bridge between who you are and what you can become. It connects your abilities with your sense of fulfillment. Finding your passion doesn't always mean quitting your job or making dramatic changes overnight. It starts with awareness, recognizing what genuinely excites you, what you naturally care about, and what makes you feel alive. Sometimes your passion is hidden in your everyday actions. Maybe it's the way you love helping others, or how you lose yourself in writing, painting, teaching, designing, or solving problems. Passion can exist anywhere. It only needs recognition. The beauty of passion is that it often leads you to your purpose. When you work with passion, you create value, not just for yourself, but for others. Your enthusiasm becomes contagious. Your energy inspires those around you. The world doesn't just need people who can work. It needs people who are always alive in what they do. Passion brings authenticity, and authenticity is what makes you stand out. People can sense when you're doing something because you love it, not because you have to. However, passion also requires courage. It's easy to ignore what your heart wants when fear whispers, "What if you fail?" But passion and fear cannot live in the same space. If you choose passion, you must be willing to take risks, to embrace uncertainty, and to start small. Passion doesn't promise an easy road, but it promises a meaningful one. Every challenge you face while following your passion becomes a lesson that strengthens your purpose. Passion isn't static, it evolves as you grow. What excites you today may mature into something deeper tomorrow. That's why it's important to stay curious, to keep exploring, and to listen to your heart. Sometimes, passion begins as a hobby, but eventually blossoms into your life's calling. And even if it doesn't turn into your profession, it can still bring balance, peace, and joy to your life. When you live with passion, you wake up with enthusiasm. You stop waiting for weekends to feel alive because every day gives you a reason to smile. You stop asking, "What will I get?" and start asking, "What can I give?" Passion transforms ordinary living into an extraordinary journey. It's the heartbeat of purpose, the force that gives your dreams a pulse and your life a rhythm. Because when your passion and purpose align, your life stops being a chase and becomes a meaningful adventure. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, though it rarely feels that way when we are in the middle of it. It breaks us, humbles us, and exposes our most vulnerable parts. But beneath all that suffering lies an invitation to grow. Pain, when understood with the right perspective, becomes the very force that pushes us toward our purpose. It refines us like fire refines gold, removing impurities and revealing strength we never knew we had. Often, the moments that hurt the most become the ones that shape our destiny the deepest. When life wounds us, our first instinct is to escape, to numb, or to question why it happened. But pain is not a punishment, it is a messenger. It tells us that something needs to change, either in our circumstances, our mindset, or our direction. Think of every person who discovered their calling after a season of struggle. A person who was rejected may develop empathy for others. Someone who lost everything may learn to build with faith instead of fear. Every heartbreak, failure, or disappointment carries within it a seed of transformation. Pain introduces us to the version of ourselves that comfort never could. It's in pain that our illusions are stripped away. When everything is going well, we often live on the surface, busy, distracted, and unaware. But when pain hits, it forces us to stop and look deeper. It removes our masks and reveals what truly matters. It shows us who we are when all titles, possessions, and comfort are taken away. Pain reveals our priorities, tests our faith, and reshapes our perspective. What once seemed important starts to fade, and what truly counts begins to shine. Some of the most compassionate people are those who have suffered deeply. They understand pain. So they treat others with gentleness. Their wounds become windows through which light enters the world. That's how pain connects to purpose. It gives birth to empathy, resilience, and understanding. When you allow pain to soften your heart instead of harden it, you begin to see that your story can heal others. The same struggle that broke you yesterday can inspire someone tomorrow. Pain also strengthens your will. It teaches endurance, patience, and faith. When life knocks you down and you rise again, you become unshakable. You learn that peace is not the absence of suffering, but the ability to remain calm in its midst. Pain transforms fear into faith and weakness into wisdom in thee. It pushes you to rely on something greater than yourself, to surrender to the process and trust that even this storm has a purpose. And sometimes pain redirects your path. You might lose something or someone that you thought you couldn't live without, only to realize it was guiding you towards something better. A closed door often feels cruel, but it might be the only way life can move you toward your true purpose. Looking back, you'll see that what once broke your heart actually built your foundation. So, when pain enters your life, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Listen to it. Ask what it's trying to teach you. Every scar carries a story, and every story has a lesson that can lead you closer to your purpose. Pain is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper understanding, a stronger faith, and a more meaningful life. It is the silent sculptor shaping your destiny, one struggle at a time. In thee, serving others is one of the most profound ways to discover who you truly are. When you take the focus off yourself and shift it toward helping others, something extraordinary happens inside you. Service has the power to quiet your mind, soften your ego, and awaken your purpose. In a world where everyone is busy asking, "What can I get?" It's the act of asking, "What can I give?" that brings true fulfillment. Serving others doesn't just change their lives, it transforms yours. It gives you perspective, grounding, and an unshakable sense of meaning that no material success can ever replace. When you serve, you connect to something larger than yourself. Every act of kindness, whether it's helping a stranger, listening to someone's pain, or using your skills for the good of others, becomes a reflection of love. The irony of service is that while it appears you're giving, you're actually receiving. You receive peace, clarity, and joy. You start to understand that life isn't about how much you accumulate, but how much you contribute. The more you give, the more fulfilled you feel, because contribution gives you a sense of purpose that comfort never can. In the service also has a way of aligning your life with humility. When you help others, you realize that everyone is fighting their own battle. It breaks the illusion of superiority or self-centeredness. It reminds you that we are all interconnected, that our strength, joy, and growth depend on how we lift each other. You begin to see people differently, not as competition, but as companions on this journey of life. True purpose always involves serving humanity in some form, because meaning grows when shared. Serving others doesn't mean you have to do something grand or public. It can be as simple as showing kindness in your home, giving time to a friend, mentoring someone younger, or sharing your knowledge. Purpose doesn't always appear in big moments. It often hides in small acts done with great love. The more you serve, the clearer your path becomes. It's in helping others that you begin to see your own strengths and calling. You learn what makes your heart come alive, what causes resonate with you, and where your talents can make the greatest difference. Another powerful truth about service is that it heals the heart. When you are broken, disappointed, or lost, serving others can bring light back into your life. It shifts your focus from, why is this happening to me? To, how can I help someone else? That shift alone brings healing. You stop drowning in self-pity and begin to see hope again. You realize that your pain can be turned into compassion, your struggles into understanding, and your experiences into wisdom that benefits others. Service also teaches patience and gratitude. When you serve, you become more aware of your blessings. You see life not from a place of lack, but from abundance. It humbles you and helps you appreciate what you have. You realize that even if you can't change the world completely, you can change someone's world, and that is purpose enough. When you serve selflessly, you feel a sense of alignment between your actions and your soul. You no longer feel restless or uncertain because you know your life has meaning beyond yourself. You begin to understand that the true measure of a life well lived is not how high you rise, but how many people you lift along the way. Service is not just something you do, it becomes who you are. And in serving others, you find that you were never lost. Your purpose was simply waiting to be discovered in the act of giving. Purpose is not something that reveals itself instantly. It unfolds slowly, like a sunrise after a long night. In a world obsessed with speed and instant results, patience has become one of the rarest virtues. Yet, when it comes to discovering and living your purpose, patience is essential. Just as a seed doesn't become a tree overnight, your dreams and calling need time to grow. The most beautiful things in life take time to form, and purpose is one of them. It is a process of becoming, not a product to be achieved. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every morning to check if it's growing. You water it, nurture it, and trust that it's taking root beneath the soil, even if you can't see progress yet. The same is true for your life's purpose. You may not always see immediate results, but every experience, every challenge, every waiting period is shaping you from within. Patience allows you to trust that life has a rhythm, that everything is happening exactly as it should, even when it doesn't feel that way. In our impatience, we often compare our journey to others. We look at someone else's success and wonder why we're not there yet. But everyone's timeline is different. A bamboo tree stays underground for years before it shoots up tall in just a few weeks. During those years, its roots are growing deep, preparing to support its future height. Likewise, sometimes your purpose is still rooting itself within you, strengthening your character, teaching you lessons, and preparing you for what's to come. If life gave you everything you wanted right away, you wouldn't be ready to handle it. Patience also deepens your understanding of yourself. When you slow down and wait, you start listening more carefully to your inner voice, to your heart, to the gentle nudges that life gives you. You begin to see the difference between what you want now and what you truly need. The waiting seasons in life are not empty. They are sacred spaces where growth happens silently. Every delay carries a lesson. Every pause carries preparation. When you're patient with your journey, frustration turns into faith. You stop forcing outcomes and start trusting the process. You realize that life is not against you, it's training you. The waiting teaches discipline, humility, and gratitude. It builds endurance and strength of character. You start appreciating small progress instead of demanding instant success. Every step forward becomes a celebration instead of a complaint. Sometimes, we confuse stillness with stagnation. But there's a difference. Stagnation is lifeless. Stillness is powerful. Stillness is when you allow things to unfold in their own divine timing. You're not doing nothing. You're trusting, reflecting, and growing. The caterpillar doesn't rush its transformation into a butterfly. It waits patiently in the cocoon, even in darkness, because it knows something beautiful is forming within. Patience gives birth to clarity. It helps you see that everything you're going through is connected to something bigger. The heartbreak, the failures, the detours, all of them are leading you toward your higher purpose. When the right time comes, everything will make sense. You look back and realize that the waiting wasn't wasted. It was working for you. So, learn to trust the timing of your life. The seed of purpose within you is growing. Even when you can't see it, all it asks for is your faith, your persistence, and your patience. Living with purpose means choosing authenticity over approval. In a world that constantly demands attention, where people measure worth by likes, followers, and validation, it's easy to get lost trying to please others. But living for popularity is like chasing shadows. The moment you think you've caught it, it slips away. True fulfillment doesn't come from being admired. It comes from being aligned with who you truly are. When you live with purpose, you stop asking, "What will people think of me?" and start asking, "Am I doing what feels right?" That shift alone brings freedom that no applause can match. When you live to impress others, your happiness becomes fragile. It depends on opinions, which change as quickly as the weather. But when you live by your purpose, your happiness becomes steady because it's rooted in authenticity, not acceptance. Popularity fades with time, but purpose deepens with every step. It gives you a sense of direction that remains constant even when people misunderstand or criticize you. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. Your purpose wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Choosing purpose over popularity often means walking a quieter, lonelier path. It requires courage to stay true to your values when the world rewards imitation. But that solitude builds strength. When you stop performing for the crowd, you start connecting with your soul. You realize that approval from others may feel good, but approval from yourself feels right. You find peace in being genuine, even if it means being different. Greatness is rarely born out of conformity. It grows in those who dare to follow their inner calling despite opposition. The pursuit of popularity often traps us in comparison. We start measuring our worth by someone else's standards. How successful they are, how admired they seem, how perfect their lives look. But comparison is a thief that robs you of joy and clarity. Purpose, on the other hand, brings focus. It reminds you that your journey is unique, your pace is right, and your value is not up for debate. When you follow your purpose, you stop competing and start contributing. You realize that life isn't about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Living for popularity also makes your identity unstable. You bend and change to please whoever's watching. But purpose gives you consistency. It grounds you when the world tries to shake you. People's opinions may rise and fall, but your sense of direction stays firm because it comes from within. You start making decisions not out of fear of rejection, but from a place of conviction. You no longer seek validation, you give value. And perhaps the most powerful thing about choosing purpose over popularity is peace. There's a calm that comes when you stop trying to prove yourself. You realize you don't need everyone to like you to live meaningfully. You learn to respect silence more than applause. When your motivation shifts from being seen to making a difference, everything changes. Your energy becomes lighter, your relationships become real, and your work begins to matter. Popularity may bring attention, but purpose brings satisfaction. One feeds the ego, the other nourishes the soul. The applause of others can fade in a moment, but the peace that comes from living authentically stays for a lifetime. You were not born to be liked by everyone. You were born to make an impact in your own way. And that impact begins the moment you stop chasing approval and start living with purpose. Growth is the bridge that connects who you are today to who you are meant to become. Purpose is not something that remains still. It evolves as you evolve. To fulfill your purpose, you must be willing to grow beyond your comfort zone, to stretch beyond your fears, and to keep learning even when it's hard. Growth is not a comfortable process. It's often painful and challenging. But that's because transformation always requires a kind of breaking. A seed must break before it can sprout, and so must we. Without growth, even a meaningful purpose will wither because stagnation kills enthusiasm, clarity, and strength. Growth demands humility, the willingness to admit that you don't know everything. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop progressing. Life is a continuous classroom, and every experience, good or bad, is a lesson designed to expand you. Failure, rejection, loss, all of these moments are not signs that you're off track. They are part of your growth. They stretch your patience, deepen your wisdom, and refine your character. When you embrace growth, you begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to strengthen your purpose. Comfort is often the greatest enemy of growth. We love staying where things feel safe, predictable, and familiar, but nothing grows in comfort zones. The most beautiful transformations happen when we dare to step into the unknown. Growth requires courage to take risks, to try new things, and to confront the fears that hold us back. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you expand your potential. You begin to see that discomfort isn't a sign of failure. It's proof that you're evolving. Growth also teaches you resilience. Life will test your purpose through moments of doubt and difficulty. But it's through those very tests that you gain the strength to stand firm. Each setback becomes a stepping stone, each disappointment a doorway to deeper understanding. Growth doesn't promise an easy road, but it guarantees a meaningful one. It shapes your purpose not just through success, but through struggle. It's in the moments you want to quit, but choose to keep going that your purpose gains power and depth. True growth is not only about achieving more, it's about becoming more aware, more compassionate, more patient, more authentic. It's about evolving inwardly as much as outwardly. Many people chase external success without realizing that inner growth is what sustains lasting fulfillment. Without inner maturity, even great achievements feel empty. Growth nurtures the wisdom to balance ambition with peace, to blend drive with humility, and to stay grounded amidst change. Another vital aspect of growth is reflection. You can't move forward wisely without looking back thoughtfully. Reflection helps you learn from your experiences instead of merely living through them. It allows you to recognize patterns, release old wounds, and adjust your path. Growth is not about constant motion. It's about meaningful progression, which comes from reflection and self-awareness. And growth is never just personal, it ripples outward. As you evolve, you inspire others to do the same. When people see your transformation, they feel the courage to face their own fears. Your growth becomes a silent form of service, a living example of what's possible when someone chooses progress over comfort. To live with purpose is to accept growth as a lifelong companion. It means embracing every challenge as a teacher, every mistake as a mentor, and every season as part of your evolution. You were not created to stay the same. You were created to rise, to expand, and to continuously become the best version of yourself. Growth is the heartbeat of purpose, the force that turns ordinary existence into an extraordinary journey of becoming.